Yep, it's working. Let me just go full screen. Yep, it looks good to me. So I think we can start. And of course, I'll edit all of this part out. And this is where we'll be officially beginning from. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to District 49 Toastmasters. Toastmasters International is a non-profit educational organization headquartered in USA. The goal of this organization is to promote public speaking leadership through a network of clubs which are driven by volunteers. District 49 is the governing body of the 40 to 50 clubs that we have in the state of Hawaii in USA. And on an average, we have somewhere around 500 members from Hawaii and all across the world. This is Tanishq. I'm currently serving as the Public Relations Manager of District 49 Toastmasters, this jump. And today I have with me Norapong and Andy, two of our members from Waikiki Toastmasters. Waikiki Toastmasters, I think if you look at the numbers in District 49, it has been one of the best performing clubs in our district. And a lot of people suggested me that we should do this, maybe a training or a podcast where we try to break down what do you guys exactly do that makes the club so successful, so that all the clubs that are hungry to succeed can learn from the best practices that you might have developed over the years. And yeah, so there was a lot of demand for this whole episode, the whole idea of doing this with Waikiki. That's the sole reason why we are doing this. And I was very interested and intrigued as well to learn about how do you guys exactly operate and learning from you both. So this is the first episode of our podcast. And if you are some like unaware how what we are going to do, so it's basically me going to be asking a bunch of questions to Andy and Norapong, trying to learn from them what they exactly do. And through that process, we'll try to break down, learn, and ultimately summarize the best practices that we can take back to our clubs and implement it there. That's the agenda for today. So I welcome you all once again to the first episode of our podcast for District 49 Toastmasters. And I welcome you both once again, Anorapong and Andy. So how are you both today? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, great. Appreciate it. We're honored here, Tanishq.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Let's get this started. So first of all, let's talk about Waikiki Toastmasters. So now I personally I am from I'm based in India, but if I would have been based in Hawaii, I would have most definitely visited your club. But since I don't have that experience yet, I'm definitely looking forward to visiting Hawaii during the conference and maybe trying visiting during that. But for now, I would like to learn from you both. What is it like to attend a meeting at Waikiki Toastmasters?
Norapong, go ahead.
Well, we just had one last night, so you caught us at fresh right here. We we just like to have fun. Like any meeting, we have the prepared speeches, the impromptu table topics, the evaluations, and what I love about our group is it really is it comes down to our people. We have such a diverse group of all ages, different backgrounds from around the world. When you do come to our island today, we are going to open the door for you, and you're welcome to come visit us. What I love about what I see yesterday, last night, and Andy can tell you, we have a visitor from Korea who, whenever he's in town visiting his family, he comes and visits us. He's every couple times a year, and we had a couple from Germany who are actual Toastmasters from those countries, and they come and visit. And that's what I love about it. We have a real sense of community. The people that are here, the speeches are compelling. It's just great. I just love just hearing people's stories, and our club, the people really support it. So we have a lot of fun. We definitely have a lot of fun.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Not much to add there. I mean, we have a lot of fun. We do different things sometimes. Like yesterday, our president Trey, it was his debut as an author. So we had
What a
a meeting.
book.
I mean, the structure was generally like a meeting, but it was focused on, hey, let's celebrate what Trey did because this is something. It's been 3 or 4 years in the making for him. So it was great to see everybody come together and say, yeah, he gave a speech about his book, and yeah,
I got to give Andy credit. Like I mentioned, it's about the people. And yesterday, Trey released his book. Andy made it really special. We put like this little sign together. We put a table at the side to have people buy his book, and we made sure we promote it. And so we always like to highlight our people. And yesterday was a moment for one of our president. He's the president of our club this year, and so we highlighted him. And then whenever somebody does something, we like to highlight them. We have the current reigning Miss Hawaii. We had a special night for her, and she's inspired other pageant women to join our clubs and visit us too as well. Whenever somebody has something special, we always highlight that member. And like I said, it's all about the people, and that's what I love about our club. It's just the people that are part of it. It's all about them.
Makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, congratulations to Trey from me and the whole team at District 49. We wish you all the very best with your book. The thing which I've really find interesting is that you talk about diversity. I, I I would like to particularly learn how do you exactly manage that, because in my personal experience, when you have such a diverse group that comes together, sure, it's going to be fun, like let's say majority of the time, but I think there would be certain moments where there would be that difference of opinion, where diverse opinions will come in. And I think if you're able to hold that culture, I think there is something about the club's culture which is able to make sure that people feel comfortable to have, let's say, open discussions on maybe topics or things that they have opposing views on. So have any situation ever arise before like this? And is there anything particularly as leaders that you do, like how do you manage the diversity that you have at your club? Would you like to share anything about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we don't really have to manage the diversity because actually diversity is the strength.
Yeah.
I think we have so many people. And even over time we've had different groups. I'm thinking we don't have that many military. There's a lot of military in Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
but there have been times we've had a number of military people. We have a number of young people now, but we've had much more young people before, and the same thing with older people, it's probably, I would say it actually is a diversity that kind of makes it strong. But whatever somebody gives, either somebody can relate to, or
Mm-hmm.
somebody's really interested in it just because it is so much out of their own experience.
Oh, I think 100%. One thing I say I have to attribute to, it's also like the leadership that's part of the club that's in there. Even when I joined years ago, Slavic, shout out to him. He kind of helped establish the foundation that we have today. It's always been open-minded. We're very open because we do have a very diverse group. Actually, last night's a great example. I don't know, Andy. So Trey's book's called The Gender Guide, about gender, which is a very controversial topic. And Trey tells his story about it. And we were so empathetic and open to the point of view that he had and what the book's about, to the point where it was such a supportive group. And that's what I love. My favorite feedback when people visit us is how much support we show to each other. Because at the end of the day, what Toastmasters is about, and what me and Andy and the rest of our team tries to create, is a supportive environment, because people are coming to us to get better at public speaking or whatever, work on certain things. If we're not creating an environment where people can grow and be vulnerable, you're not going to grow to be your best self. And we try to create that environment where we're always support, regardless of how bad someone may sound and they think they did. We're always going to be encouraging, and that shows up in just how we support, the feedback we give, evaluation, and that sense of community we have. And so kind of what Andy said is, like, we don't have to do anything. It's kind of a known thing that this is how we are with each other. And that's what they love about it, is that fact that people can be comfortable that way. And I always have to say that the culture has been established since Slava put it together. So big shout out to Mr. Slava out there.
Makes a lot of sense. So, is it like, correct me if I'm wrong, but can I say that what makes Waikiki unique is the truly supportive environment, or the bonding between members, or the by default, I would say the how open-minded the initial community members were. So, when the community expanded, that culture sort of retained itself until date. It's a very supportive environment, very vulnerable environment, very open-minded, very diverse. Am I right to sum that up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good summary. Yeah. And honestly, that's what I want to keep, because that's what people love about coming here. Because when you deal with the biggest fear people have in their lives, public speaking.
Yeah.
That's a big fear. It takes a lot of courage to overcome your personal fears. And if our environment is not that opening where we allow people to be vulnerable, like I was mentioning, you're never going to grow. And to me, what makes me excited about Toastmasters is seeing people grow. We have people who don't speak English as their first language, and they come practice it, and to see them after months, and I feel proud when they do speeches, and we see their English improve, and just the confidence they build. And you have to have a vulnerable environment in order to have that growth, and that's something that we all kind of create there. So we're pretty happy about.
Indeed.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. I think that's definitely something that we okay, so that would be like our point number one, that what we need to learn, and that is, the celebrating the diversity, being open-minded, being vulnerable, being supportive, creating that club environment where people do not fear to fail essentially, and they feel free to share openly, or just feel very comfortable and at home in that. So I think that's our first takeaway point. Next question that I would like to ask you both is, so how do you prepare for each meeting? Like what goes on behind the scene? Like what's your process? Let's say you have a meeting coming up next week. So how does your process look like?
That's me, Andy, right?
You can take the yes, yeah, you can take this one.
So I'm the VPE, Vice President of Education. So I set the agenda every single time. I have a Excel spreadsheet where I keep everything organized. I try to have 2 to 3 meetings planned ahead of time to give people enough time when they do the prepared speeches. And so for me, plugging in the speeches is always key. In the agenda on the very bottom, you'll see the next speakers coming up, and if I have an open spot. And at the end of the meeting, we ask like, hey, we got an open spot next week, next month, or whatever. And then usually people come up and say, hey, I want to work on this. I need to work on that. And so I try to keep the agendas filled ahead of time. And one thing I do, and I talk about this when I've done the VP training, is I do an onboarding for every new member that we join. So we had 2 new members. So this Sunday we just had a member that joined us here March 1st. I'm gonna have a Google chat like this. I'm gonna with her on Sunday afternoon. I'm gonna talk about why she's at Toastmasters, what brought her to Toastmasters. 2, I'm gonna go over pathways. I'm gonna get her logged in. I send the link. So by Sunday, she already created a login. I'm going to go over the website so she knows how Pathways works, and then I start plugging them into the system. So in our schedule, so they're either going to take on a role. Some of them are super excited. They want to do an icebreaker in the next available spot. I'll plug in the icebreaker in there. I always explain our roles on how those are skills you learn to be a better speaker. So for instance, the timer, punctuality is important. You want to be on time, never too short, never too long. The all counter is probably to me, is one of the most critical roles you can learn when you join Toastmasters. We're unconscious of our ums and ahs and our fillers. But when you become the all counter, you be a lot more aware of it, and so they grow a lot in their in that space too as well. And then the grammarian is really fun, table topics all the time. So I fill them in the roles, and I usually put them in those roles first until they start doing their speeches. And I make sure within the first couple months they're with us, they've done every single role in our meeting. So in the future, when we need people, if I need a backup, because on occasion we're meeting that Thursday, and we're 5 minutes about to start, and someone didn't show up. I need someone to back up, and people already know how to do those roles, and so it's easy to fill in that way too. So that's kind of a little bit how I do with my onboarding, and so you can see how the schedule's already planned out with roles, speeches, especially the speeches, because we're really focused on the pathways. And I think that's what our success is. Our secret of success is actually we do pathways, and we get people to be on it and actually do the learning, because what brings people to Toastmasters is trying to get improved, and Pathways is literally a record of showing improvement. How do we show that you've gotten better the time you've spent with us? The admission fee that you're paying, the renewal fees you pay, like what's the point of paying if we're not actually showing something of value that we're growing? And I use Pathways as a way to say, hey, you actually are growing, and here's the little awards and the things that we do. I love Andy, so he'll put in there, he might add a little comment. It gives them the little grammarian award. Now we put badges on there and stuff like that. So Andy does that too as well. And so that's kind of what I do. I always have things planned ahead. And it starts with the onboarding as you join the member. So from the beginning, you already know you're gonna be part of the schedule, and it's kind of an expectation going forward with the club.
Yeah, Norapong is leaving out something that he does is Norapong will inflict a theme upon us. And I say inflict purposely because he does this. But the interesting thing is, it's never a bad theme. It's always a theme about growth, right? Because that's what the club's about. It's about growth. But sometimes it'll
There's some
be,
fun ones. There's some fun
there's
ones.
all sorts of things from different perspectives. And so he'll put out one of the things he does is he puts out a month in advance the meetings for that month, and people will look at the theme and they'll go, "All right, what the heck are we going to make of this theme?" But Norapong will tell you by the time it gets to the meeting, we've made the theme into a theme for the meeting, and people have taken it different ways, and it all gets created when it all comes together.
But
So
that's the magic.
that's one thing that's actually it's actually kind of a fun way to do things.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
the other
it's
thing
funny because
I'll
Andy,
mention
I
a
don't,
little
and
bit. Oh,
I
go
don't
ahead.
plan this. I was gonna say I don't plan. I find a nice little topic, maybe a quote, and I'll just put it as their theme. I don't explain it to anybody. So even the Toastmaster inspiration, the table topics, they kind of know like, hey, we got to do something about this theme. And I don't explain it because I want to know what you think of it. So when we go to the meeting, we just find out like everyone's opinion, and sometimes it matches, sometimes it's a little different. But it's the magic of our meetings. It's just like it just happens naturally.
No matter what, people will come at it from different. We've had one. What was the one? We've had one Janus for January, and Janus is
So
like about
the God,
January. It's also Roman God, so we had that angle. We had he says the God of doorways, looking back and looking forward.
yeah.
So we had like all these different ways of doing it that people came up with, sort of totally unplanned, right? It just a prompt. And the other thing I'll say about the planning is that we also maintain a flexibility. Like for instance, the stuff we talked about last meeting, I think we planned that Monday night for a meeting we were having on Thursday.
Yeah,
Up until
mainly because
Monday, it was just
Trey's
kind of an
released his book.
idea. We hadn't really, but like, oh, no, we should do something with if
Yeah.
this is what's going on this meeting. So it's planned out, but it also has flexibility.
I kind of open it. So whoever the Toastmaster is, I say it's a suggestion. They normally go with my suggestion, but if somebody wants to come up with their own idea, I'm cool with it too. Like if they say, hey, this is my thought. If you're the Toastmaster and you want to come up with something, I'm open. I try to plan the meetings out with the themes, and I just look up stuff and just have them out there. I just throw it out there. Most of the time it sticks. Every now and then I'll switch it to what people suggest. I'm flexible.
Makes sense. So I think if I sum it up, what you have really observed well and cracked is that with the recent introduction of pathways, this is a real challenge. That the user has to make this choice where they have to choose the pathways, and when you give this choice to the user, they also have the choice to procrastinate. Essentially, they can
Mm-hmm.
sit on that decision for forever. But like you mentioned, you have observed it and really killed the issue there. I think so that is one of the major challenges that we are facing as an organization right now, that because
Mm-hmm.
that choice is there, people will just sit on it, and they'll think about, we'll research or maybe whatnot, we'll take that questionnaire and maybe take a little bit more time to decide. Even clubs, the VPs try their best to schedule meetings, but sometime it happens, sometime it would just get postponed or something. It might not
Yeah.
get prioritized, and because of that we see that at times new members have joined, they have paid the fees, but 1 month gone and they haven't done anything. But I think you have cracked that right, that you sit down with them, you help them choose the paths, you also explain the skills to them, that and you also push them to take up all of these roles, you ensure that all of the roles are done. So you are also focusing on a very important concept, I think, which should be called like complete member engagement, that they are having that 360 view and all the members are engaged. So I think that those were the key takeaways for me. What I'm really curious about is, though, that I've done VP before and I know it's a gigantic task. So do you have any help from the members in this? Like, do you, okay, so in terms of two aspects, do you have a VPE, like, or education committee for your club, A, and B, do your club have dedicated mentors? Like, do you maintain, maybe let's say that allocate proper mentors to members who would be responsible for, let's say, onboarding them to pathways, or is it all done by you? So how do you manage it?
Yeah, no, that's me. That's definitely me. So I just onboard them to introduce them, and it's interesting you mentioned like picking the path and whatever. I normally default to presentation mastery. So if people, it's interesting when you take the quiz, engaging humor pops up for everyone. Like I don't know why it's like a comment. I guess everyone wants to be funny. And then somebody actually emailed me back going, "Hey, it told me to pick engaging humor, but I do not want to do that pathway." Like they were totally focused on something else because they have a profession or whatever. And so when we connected on our onboarding meeting, I told them like, if you want to just learn the basics, go to presentation mastery. So I always recommend presentation mastery as your first, as a default. Now your level 1 is the same for any path you picked regardless. And so that's why I tell them, even though they picked engaging humor, the first 5 speeches are the same regardless of whatever level. It's when you go to level 2 and 3 is where you're more specific to the path you choose. But for people who don't know, I always tell them go to presentation mastery first, because those are just the basics of what we learn. After you complete this, then let's focus on the humor part. I do motivational strategies or whatever you want to focus on at that point if they want to keep going that way too. So that's usually the default there too. I'm pretty much it on the onboarding, and then the rest of that's kind of self-managed. What I love about the new pathways is they just have to log in their speeches and everything else. And so I always say, when you have trouble writing your speech, take the training. It'll give you ideas. It'll give you a structure to follow, give you ideas. So they're always in it, going through it just to help them and it's helped people a lot. And so that's why I always refer back to pathways for that.
We've gone back and forth over the years on mentors, and we never really grokked as a club into having official mentors. The reason I think we don't is because we actually have a lot of unofficial mentors.
Yeah.
We have tons of people that will help out, especially the people that go to the meetings. We have people that will just offer advice because they're very advanced Toastmasters. Robert's a good one, like that.
We're fortunate to have Robert with us.
Yeah. So secondly, we try to make our meetings educational in some some ways, all sorts of ways, but in particular for the evaluations. If there's some commonality that comes out in our meetings with the guest comments at the end, they always say great evaluations. And thirdly, you'll see somebody who either is dealing with their speech or really with an icebreaker. At the end of a meeting, we're all sort of, socializing, just talking. You'll see some people go, about my icebreaker, blah, blah, blah. And you might ask Norapong, and then you might ask me, and then you might ask somebody else. So they're kind of going around and getting mini mentoring from different people. So I think if you assign a mentor, maybe that mentor might match, maybe they won't. But we encourage them, hey, you're working on your icebreaker, have any problems? And they'll get little mini mentoring, and they'll figure out, hey, I really vibe with this person. This person, we think alike. We have the same barriers. He's been through those barriers already.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Makes a lot of sense.
The other part, Noropong's about to say something, but the other part I think is I did this when I was president. I see Trey, our president, doing this now. Is really emphasizing that next speech. Right, because I think we focus on icebreakers, and like Norapong says, like some members are in there, they want to do the icebreaker right away. Some members are in there like, I want to do the icebreaker, but yeah, not ready yet, But pretty much you got everybody on icebreaker status one way or another.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Kind of what Andy was saying.
But I think that second speech is where we pass.
Oh, yeah.
Jump off for a second.
Yeah, you jumped off for a second. But I love how you always promote that second speech. Like Andy always mentioned that, and it encourages people, which I love. And then it goes back to what we're saying is the people that are in there. We have amazing.
You guys froze. So Norapong, take it while my film is.
Okay, yeah, I think you froze for a little bit. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go back to our people. Like I said, we got Bobby in our club. Shout out to Bobby. He's an amazing credited speaker. He gives so much great advice, and he's open to just helping people. And that's what I love about it. We also got Raymond Liu, like one of a parliamentarian. He's the one who I think he sets the standard for what our club lives up to, and he reminds us when we don't do things right. He just reminds us when we go off protocol, and so that's what I love about Raymond too. So shout out to Raymond if you're listening to this too as well. It's the people that we help, and if you talk about the true education, and you call it out there, Andy, and anyone who goes to our club, our meeting, says they walked away learning something, and that's my goal. My goal is when I put together a meeting, if you walked away with one thing that you learned, I did my job. If you have to walk away, and it's from everyone, whether it's from the all counter. Sometimes our grammarians and all counters they'll evaluate the meeting, whether it's the general evaluator doing the meeting. The evaluation portion that we obviously do at the end, that is probably the highlight of our meeting. People always wait to see, okay, I love that speech, but what do people have to say about it? And they love the feedback that we get from it. And so our evaluations, and I actually design evaluators with the speakers depending on what they're looking for and things like that. And a lot of times they request certain evaluators too as well. And we have, like I said, we're blessed to have some great tenured leaders in District 49 in our club to give that advice, or are willing to do it there. So we literally try to grow every single week. And so you could just show up to a meeting, and my goal is to make sure everyone learns something walking out at the end of the night.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this is very important. I last training we had, I went to the membership one, and I advised somebody that was new to their role about education. And I didn't get a chance to answer her. But the point is, education, like Norapong said, education every meeting, but it's not like a chapter of a book. It's like, turn to this page and this little snippet, turn to this page and this. You're going to walk away with three snippets or something, right? And that's the way people learn. So, but she was asking, what do you educate on? So anything and everything. Just what happens in the meeting. Some amount of education is going to come up, but it's always there.
Makes sense. So yeah, I think I get the idea of it. So the way your education committee works is that you have a lot of great members who are willing to volunteer a lot. So yeah, it sort of self manages, and you have a very decentralized structure in that sense, which makes a lot of sense. And yeah, okay, we'll now move on to the next part. So we have learned about Waikiki. We have learned about your meetings. Next, I want to learn more about how do you guys go about publicizing your meeting and attracting new guests.
That's a
I'm
good one.
gonna say word of mouth. It's word of mouth. So
Total word of mouth.
this year specifically, because Bria, she won Miss Hawaii. She's literally, if you follow any of her stuff, check her out on podcast, on the news, wherever, you'll see her say, I go to Toastmasters, and that's how I won Miss Hawaii. She promotes Toastmasters like it's the best thing in the world, which we are. We're amazing. We're all amazing, right? Here at District 49. And so we get a lot of requests of pageant people who are involved in that industry this specific year. And that's just the word of mouth of it too as well. Our members bring guests, bring family members. They bring other family members. And so it's a lot of it's word of mouth. And Andy and I will probably get emails every other week about inquiries from other clubs, which is interesting, from international clubs. Like I said, we had some German Toastmasters last night, and we have people from Japan, Australia, from Toastmasters around the world that love to just visit our club. And so we get inquiries from but I'm going to have to say the strength of it is truly the word of mouth. It's the referral-based business that we have in our club.
Yeah, I mean, I'd very, very much echo that. It's kind of goes back to what we said before, right? You have a really bang up meeting where people learn and they see the support, and they're going to like it. We've had, I don't know what our guest conversion rate is, but we don't have to worry about chasing guests because there's, among the ones that come, someone's going to convert. You know what I mean? So we've talked before about chasing down guests afterwards, and different phases put more and less emphasis on that. But really, having a great meeting is its own advertisement, right?
Definitely, yeah.
The other thing I would say, a couple things about this one. One is when guest inquiries, responding to the guest inquiries. Can we come to your club? People have all sorts of different ideas about Toastmasters, and just the openness that, sure, show up, great, that's going to be the best selling point, is actually coming to a meeting. So we respond to everybody and invite them to show up, and we add them to our guest list. So for next 6 months or so, they'll get the newsletter before each meeting, even if they haven't inquired in a while. I know this looks like an evil genius kind of thing,
I
but
was gonna say the cat. Nice touch there, Andy.
the other thing that I should mention that's kind of interesting to me is I see a number of Toastmaster people that are sort of Toastmaster cheerleaders,
Mhm.
right? And there's a good place for the Toastmaster cheerleaders. I don't think we need it that much because our members are our own cheerleaders. Even Bree is not like a cheerleader. She's just a person that benefited from Toastmasters and
Yeah.
telling people about
Yeah.
it. So I'm very sensitive to us overselling Toastmasters. Like I is not a hard and fast rule, and we've never gone up against this problem, but we never said, hey, you learn how to speak at this meeting, or this meeting will solve your anxiety problems, because it won't. Right? It just doesn't. The truth of the matter is that if we said that and someone came, they'd feel like, oh, they promised this, but we didn't get it. Instead, we're saying we're a community, we're a group that supports each other. You're going to learn everything. I'm sorry, you're going to learn something in each meeting, and if you stick with it, become a member and stick with it, all those incremental learnings over time, you'll become a better speaker, and you can see those better speakers in the group, right? So you never overpromise like that, and I think it's one of those things that there's an accuracy, like a truth in what we're saying, because we're not doing that. We're not promising magic.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting because like even the initial inquiries, Andy sees the email. He replies to him. They was like, "Well, how much does it cost? Do I have to do this? Like, just show up. We just like come in, check it out. If you're interested, we'll talk further." And that's all it is. We want to make sure that they enjoy the meeting and they take value of it there too. I actually teach sales as a profession, Tanisha. I don't know if you know, like that's actually my day job. And the art of teaching sales is the product. If the product is valuable to the consumer and
Mm.
it brings personal value, it sells itself. And that's kind of what we pride in. Make sure the meeting is entertaining, it's educational, and it brings value to people for what they're looking for. And that's the feedback we get at the end of the meeting. It's like, hey, this is actually what I was looking for. And I've actually grown in this meeting alone. And that's something that's what we love to do. And that's what it's really all about, right?
Makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. I most definitely agree. That product driven growth is the best sort of growth that you can have, and that's how you achieve virality as well. If the product is not good, if the users are not recommending other users to use the product, I don't think so that any amount of marketing can solve that or even match up in that sense. It will always be linear, but the key to exponential is referrals basically. People love a product so much that they recommend it to other people. So I think that's a
And
really
to continue the metaphor a little bit, and if you don't use the product yourself, right,
yeah.
when they come to the meeting, we're all Toastmasters, we're using the product, as it were.
Not only am
Exactly.
I the VPE, I'm also a member.
Yeah.
Got
So
the pin and everything.
yeah, I think so. That's very important. And then I think it needs to be emphasized way more when it comes to, let's say, we talk a lot about attracting members or doing PR and all of these things. I mean, yeah, it's really fresh to have this perspective because I've really, have a whole lineup of trainings coming up where we'll be talking about, setting up websites, doing MailChimp and whatnot. And, truly the thing that matters is this, that, yeah. How do you really make your meetings better? How do you become better public speakers? Going back to the core values that have always worked for us. The public speaking, the discussions around them instead of talking about whatever we talk about these days in Toastmasters.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
that's
don't,
really
don't don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think the cheerleading is great. It's just has to be with the other part too,
most
right?
definitely. But I mean, my point
Yeah.
of view is that yeah, it has been a while since I heard this. In all the circles that yeah go above beyond the club. There's a lot of chatter about all of these things, right? There have been a lot of changes in the last 10 years in Toastmasters, so we end up talking about that a lot. How do we onboard people to new pathways? How is the new pathways? How do we, get new members? What market segments are we missing? What sort of PR are we missing? But this is what really matters. Like, are your meetings good at the end of the day? If they're not
Go back
good,
to
I
the
mean,
basics.
there's nothing me or
Yeah.
anybody else can do that can, boost your club's membership. So at the end of the day, it burns down to that, and I think we need to focus more on it, talk more and more about it. So yeah, thanks for that. I mean, it was really a fresh perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. It's 100 years that this thing's been around, and 100 years ago was it Ralph Smedley? He just got a bunch of people together so we
Yeah,
can work on being able to toast at a wedding, right, or whatever they're trying to do. And
yeah,
it's really just a safe space for people to practice speaking in front of each other. You got to go to back to the fundamentals and the basics of what we're about. And if you don't master the basics, you don't have a foundation for your club. And to us, the basics is really the secret to our club. And so it's interesting that you're trying to ask, like, what do we do? Why do people love our club? It's really the thing that Toastmasters is all about. We're here to give a place for people to practice the one thing they came to do. And it's a safe space, and we actually create growth. Like our focus, my job, Andy's job, and Trey, everyone in our club, we love the fact that we see people get better month after month after week, and that to me is what I feel joy in. It makes me proud to be part of a Toastmasters. Period. And so it's the fundamentals, the basics. Just try to help people. We got to go back to the community and help people, and by doing that, people say this is the club, and the members that join, they love our club so much to the point where they bring their friends and family, and they keep spread that word.
They'll hear that in their evaluations as well. I
Yeah,
remember your speech, 3 months ago, and this is so much better because.
yeah, it's
amazing.
great.
Okay, I think so. My next question was going to be, how do you retain members? So I think we already have the answer to that. The meetings are at the core of it. But would you like to add anything to that? Anything more that you would like to share with, all the club leaders that are watching? Any other additional advice that how do you retain your members?
Well, I would say we have a revolving door like probably any other club too as well.
Yeah.
I think that's Hawaii a lot because there's a lot of people that go in and out of Hawaii, and so we've had members. We've actually had to change leadership recently because people come in and out. The goal for me is, did you get what you wanted?
Hmm.
And if that's the case, then hopefully you do what you need to do with the skill set you picked up from us. And to me, that's okay. And what I love about it is that allows us to have new members kind of refresh. So I'm always considered it's going to be like a revolving door as it is. And so we have that as well as any other club here too as well. The beauty is that some people like to stick around a little bit longer than most. And some people like to leave and come back. We have a lot of that too as well. And so at the end of the day, it goes back to the people, the community we have, and the quality of our meetings. People like to come back. Like there's times where we see people for months and they come back because they missed what we put together, and that's okay too. And we're open that way.
Yeah, very much. The way I look at it, this may come as well. Let's just say it. The way I look at it, we have people that come there and they're deathly afraid of public speaking, and they give their icebreaker, and now there's a check off their bucket list. So
Yeah.
you lose those people if you don't push them to the second speech or the third speech, right? Because it's in those second and third speeches that they go, oh, okay, now I've jumped out of the airplane 2 times or 3 times. Now I want to work on some kind of finesse and skill at this.
Yeah.
It's not just the adrenaline rush anymore. Now I know I got to do the better at the fill the words. Now I got to do blah blah boom. Now I have something to work on. So I think those second and third speeches are a key because we see people that came, they did their icebreaker, they didn't do anything else, and they kind of slip away. We also have people, unfortunately, I think every club does. I would say we have fewer percentage wise than most that only come to a meeting when they speak, right?
Yeah.
We have very few of those. But that's something you just can't, you try to emphasize coming to a meeting, but you can't really criticize them for that,
Yeah.
but you can make your meeting so much supportive for everybody. So when the people that come, even if they haven't spoken in months, come for the atmosphere, right? So that's one way to get those. The thing I wish we really had, and that's one of the questions about challenge, is our club, for all the number of members we have, are are not really that interested in going in the next level of Toastmasters. Me and Norapong are kind of it, just because people ask us to volunteer all the time, and we just say yes too much, maybe. But for some reason, that's just not enticing to our members. Like they want to speak and be part of a community
Yeah.
that's focused on their growth, right? They're not really interested in being a Toastmaster, like, and at the higher levels. And so if there were something else that motivated people, and right now that something else are things like I'm thinking Motu and Golden, who want to do the humor stuff, and they
Yeah.
really want to do that. They have certain people that really want to do the motivational stuff, so they go to that path. So certain paths really entice people. Other people, I think, are sort of, they've been there and they're focused on the community, but they don't really have the next challenge for themselves, right? And that challenge is not district level responsibilities; it's something else. I don't know
Makes
exactly
sense.
what it is.
Yeah, oh, makes sense. I think so. I'll just add it in here for, like, your own members that are listening to this, because, yeah, I joined Toastmasters back in 2017. Of course, there are people who have spent more time in this organization than me, but the reason why I'm still a part of this is, frankly, because the reason you mentioned, right? What's the next step for you? So that is what I have been working on initially when I joined. It was about public speaking. First of all, I understood this. I joined Toastmasters back in college, and in college we used to have 10 clubs. It was a very vibrant community. Yeah, so, and I understood this quite early, in those days, that without communication my career is not going to grow much. Like, that's the just core reality of it. You could be the best engineer in the world. I'm an entrepreneur right now, and an engineer before that, but I realized this early, that you could be the best engineer on this planet, and, like, if you're not able to communicate that, if you're not able to work with people, I'm yeah, there's no utility to it. So it started with public speaking. Last year in District 49, I made it to district finals finally. So yeah, at least I made progress in that area. I've given a lot of talks in even colleges in India and whatnot. So that thing is going well. In terms of leadership, um, PR was something that interested me. So I started climbing up the ladder. Finally, this term I'm doing public relations manager for District 49. So that's done as well. Now,
You've
one of
done
the
a good
things,
job. Love the look you're putting
Yeah,
out there. The design,
yeah.
like this background. Yeah, you're doing a really good job. I
Well,
admire it.
I've
thank you
I've
so much.
put the public relations, the PR thing that you were advertising for in the newspaper several times, and
Yeah, we're
and
fans of
I,
yours,
I
Tanishq.
this would be a great thing for somebody to really sink their teeth into. So I'm glad you're sinking your teeth into it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm really, I really hope that by the end of this term, the impact reaches to root level as much as possible. That's what I'm really hoping for. And like I said, so, in leadership it was PR, right? So yeah, I have grown a lot. Like, even this term, as PRM, the new thing that I learned was, doing this, like, videos. I've not done videos much before, so that is why I'm doing so much. So now I learned how to use tools that through which I can record these videos, put it up on YouTube. I've not done much of YouTube and all of those things. Most of the videos that you'll find of me on YouTube are, recorded by someone else, posted by someone else, where I was invited, and more of those things. But I've never done it myself. So this is the first time when I'm exploring that route. And now the next step for me is that I want to expand my network more towards, let's say, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, where, technology. So I found this club in another district, in District 101, where all they do is talk about AI, right? So that is like a super specific club where all they do is, like, the presentations are on AI, the whole agenda is AI. So now I'm now my next goal is that, like, now I'm focusing how to be better at those technical presentations that I have to do, shifting from the general public speaking, general storytelling, to specifically that, those presentations, that sort of network. And maybe once I'm done with that, I'm sure I'll find something, some next step to do. Club growth is something that I've been looking forward to, like, in terms of how to charter new clubs, because you have so many cases there, and it's really fun. I love being part of demo meetings, and just, being involved in the brainstorming of how to charter new clubs. So I hope, like, I think the ladder which members need to follow is, a first of all, yeah, of course, public speaking is there, pathways is there, then there are contests, then you explore club leadership, And I think in club leadership, the four most important roles are PR, membership, education, and club president. I think so. Beyond like treasurer, secretary, and sergeant at arms are important as well. But I think the pressure really comes when you take up these four roles, where you have to operate on a weekly basis. You cannot fall short. So the whole of 6 months where you are operating as in that role, the pressure is on you. You grow so much. After that, I think you start thinking about, let's say, district area director and roles beyond that. There are so many things that you can do with districts as well. For example, let's say you are just you don't want the responsibility, but you want to let's say learn Canva, or maybe let's say do stuff like what I am doing, videos and stuff like that. Join my team. It's not an official role, but we like district can create that role for
Huh.
you. That's the most important thing or beautiful part about being involved with the district, that you can work with the leaders and create your own roles. Because if you come up to me and say that, I want to work on this, and yeah, this is what I want, I'm never going to say no. I mean, any help is good to me, and if it's a win-win situation, I am happy. So I think you get to create your own roles in district. I mean, people aim for DTM and all of those things and whatnot, and sure, that's there. But I think so for people who really have gone to that extent where I'm done with all the official stuff. I've been the club sponsor, club mentor, club coach, area director, division director, even district director, whatever. So once I'm done with those roles, and if I'm looking for something next, I think the answer is that create your own roles in the district. Like, look at Kevin or Gloria. Like, Kevin is mentoring me, like in terms of this. I'm new to Hawaii, so and he understands Hawaii so well. So he's there in my team. Julie is past district director of Founders District. She's also a member of one of our clubs in 49, Trainers Hub. So she's one of my mentors as well, part of my team. And she's a PR mastermind. She works professionally in PR. So now these both of these people are those cases which you want to look at, that they are done, with the district roles. Kevin has been PID, so ID, so he's now a PID. So these guys have seen all. So now their involvement is like this. They support people like me to grow further, and we come up with these initiatives. Similarly, Gloria is involved as well in various initiatives. Various other senior district leaders are involved as well. So I think the key to understand is it's there, that find what's next for you in public speaking. Like, for example, at InspireX at my club, my idea was that let's do 20-minute presentations, because that's a challenge which I want to have. Plus, like I said,
Yeah.
another club, AI presentations, or like total technical talks. So find what's next for you in public speaking. Find what's next for you in terms of network. So like I said, my network, the next goal is to build it amongst like people in Silicon Valley who are more into tech, so that I can, yeah, just discuss
That's
tech with them.
super interesting because
Yeah.
the thing I think maybe old school Toastmasters, what was you have like a home club and you get better at speaking, and then you go to a club where it's all expert speakers,
Yeah,
right? But people like to stay in our club because they love the atmosphere,
yeah.
so it's finding that next phase for them that is still within the club. The next challenge, I should say, that's within the next club, within our own club.
No, most definitely. Point being that that's where you will face the problem, because you can't build something that's everything for everybody. So if a club specializes in, let's say, an in-person club specializes in helping out beginners, I would say, which the in-person clubs do best, or even like catering to all like good speakers, really good speaker, if it's towards an advanced club, to that effect. I think, yeah, when you go towards this niche, you have to like, start looking at online clubs, or like join a second club maybe, or join a second district, or you have to like, really expand yourself in the Toastmasters universe, where you start looking at multiple districts, multiple clubs, which maybe align with your agenda. Or at least maybe that's what I have explored. At a club level, it would be really interesting to see how you can accommodate those things, because by definition, these things are like very niche. Maybe you can
Yeah.
come up with specific series, like you said, you can do a whole speechcraft on humorous, let's say. You are doing speechcraft, but you have optimized it for humorous this term, that we'll teach humorous public speaking to new speakers. Or like you mentioned, that pageants, people who want to go for pageants are interested in your club, so maybe just do a speechcraft oriented on them this term. And yeah, maybe do something to that effect. So those are definitely like interesting ideas. But I'm glad that this is very interesting to learn as well, that even though your club has somewhere around 30-40 members, you're still looking at ways to expand it further, or find more meaningful experiences for your members where you can expand it. I think so that's something worth learning too. At times clubs just stagnate. But I'm so glad to see that, yeah, you are also thinking about the next direction. That's very inspiring. Yeah.
It's interesting. For me, if you ask me why I joined Toastmasters, is to help people.
Yeah.
I'm a professional corporate sales trainer. I speak in front of people every single day. I know I've done it for 8 or 9 years at this point, and so I'm very comfortable speaking in front of crowds of 10 to 20 to 100, 200, around those type of things. And so I didn't come to Toastmaster to necessarily improve my skill set, but to really give back to the community, and really get to know people here in Hawaii as well. And so my goal every single day in our meetings and is to have people grow and to help people do that. And we've had a lot of great success in seeing people achieve great things. And that's what really brings meaning to my life, is for me to help people become better at something, especially the biggest fear they have, and
Yeah.
that's why that's the big reason why when Sherry asked me to take over the youth leadership program, I took on that because that's the best thing to do, is to give back to our kids. That's the future of our world, right?
True.
And so if you don't teach the confidence of being able to speak in front of people, our future can be lost. And so for me, I've had a lot of fun with the youth leadership program, and that's the reason why I'm here, because I want people to grow. If I could teach 9-year-olds, I can teach 40 or 50-year-olds, and that's my job, and that's like my way of giving back to society. And that's why I'm part of Toastmasters, is to literally help people as individuals grow and become better speakers. Because to me, it's an art. I love it. It's an art that I admire. I love hearing the stories. My favorite, and Andy's heard it, my favorite speeches every single time are icebreakers.
Hmm.
Why? Because that's the first time they did this. And this is them facing their fear. And there's a lot of people, Kim, who are very nervous. Just showing up to our meeting was a obstacle just to show up. For them to do an icebreaker also in front of that and for us to evaluate it, that's a major compliment. So my favorite speeches are the icebreaker, because that's a major milestone in those individuals that joined us. And that's what gives me joy in life, is to know that I've helped people do that. And that's what I'm about. All I'm about is about helping people and growing. And because of that, we were able to create a community for that.
Makes a lot of sense. I think so. What's important in Toastmaster is that we, first of all, find why we are here, and just find the relevant people and opportunities so that we can particularly grow in that direction. I think what differentiates people who like end up staying in Toastmasters, or are crazy about it, or are really dedicated to it, is that I would say self discipline, or maybe self awareness, whatever you might call it. But I think that's the key difference. The people who don't stay are often people who don't end up doing this planning, or like really exploring, or really comprehending or understanding that how good this place is, in terms of that. And by the way, if any guest is watching who is not a Toastmasters yet, yeah, this is just natural. I'm not trying to sell Toastmasters. Like, watch it out for yourself. I'm not getting like any none of us are getting like any single cent for doing this. So yeah, just check it out for yourself. But yeah, my point of view is that the people who are really like who are most retained, or who stay the most, or are part of, let's say, 10 clubs, there are people like that. You might be aware as well. So I think how these people operate, or why these people operate, is that they have that clarity. Like I was talking to Rosie, and she's in, like, I think, 7 clubs or something. Yeah. And she was explaining me how, and of course, like, she has a lot of time on her hands. Again, like, a plug for anyone who is shocked by this, that yeah, you do not have to join 7 clubs. You can do that once you're retired or old, and all of those things. But yeah, if you're working, a regular person, maybe a club is like, just join a club, and that would be fine. So yeah. But when I was talking to her, she shared that she had a very particular goal of why she has joined a particular club. That she goes to this club to work on this, she goes to this club to work on this, and all of those agendas. So I think so that purpose, like, that is very important to have. So yeah.
Rosie's another person, can you talk about, who kind of created her role, owning pathways and stuff too as well. And so, and Rosie told me she also has a club just to socialize too, which I think is amazing. Just so.
True. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think to sum it all up, like, especially in this agenda of purpose, I think so. What Toastmasters offer is public speaking or communication, would be a better way to put it. Then leadership, and lastly networking or socializing. I think so. These are the three core pillars, or like the value of Toastmasters summarized. And after that, it's like really contextual. Like once you join in, you might have your own reasons of joining in. For a lot of people, it's socializing. For a lot of people, it's public speaking, but there's a very small group for which it's leadership as well. And then once you get in there, you start realizing that these threes are interlinked. It's not like, if you want to be a better leader here, you can skip on the public speaking, you can skip on the socializing aspect of it. That's not how it works. You have to manage all three, you have to take them together, and once you are good at all three of them, then you will learn your own niche. That, yeah, this is what we should maybe work on next. And every time I end up talking to a Toastmaster, a senior Toastmaster, like it's the same story. That, yeah, this year we are focusing on this year we are focusing on this, next year we are focusing on that. This is what we learned this year. This is whom we met this year. This was the unique experiences and all of those things. And yeah, it just integrates well. Pathways, many districts, many clubs, agendas, all of these things. And yeah. So, anyways, it's really the multiverse of Toastmasters if you look at it. So yeah, moving on. My next question to you is, although we have already talked about this, that how do you guys exactly operate when it comes to like running your meetings? But I want to learn more about how do you operate as a club executive committee as well. So if you would like to share any insights on that.
Actually, Andy, you want to talk about like our outings that we do?
Yeah. I would say to the question, it's been different depending on who's in the leadership role.
Hmm.
We have some leaders who are busy. Their lives are just full, and this is an extra task. And there's some leaders that are retired, so they can do other stuff.
Yeah.
So I really couldn't pin that down, but we do try to do things sort of bridge back to our other topic. We try to do something as a club at least once a quarter. That's not Toastmaster meeting. So
Hmm.
we went bowling. We try to do something physical.
They love
The big one,
karaoke.
of course, we have to mention is we all went as a club and did improv.
Yeah,
They did an
improv.
improv thing just for our club, and that started a whole improv
So fun. So fun.
subset of people. Yes, among our club.
Recommend all
And that
clubs
was
to join improv as a club. You guys will all have fun.
Yeah.
yes. So that's always good, and we do the planning, as a club. We're as a leadership team, we're sort of narrowing it down to a few choices so they don't get inundated with, here's 20 things, pick one. Narrow it down to 3 or 4, and then we get the members input, and we try to make something that's everybody can enjoy. Like if it's something physical, it's going to be something like bowling or putt putt, like not something like
Karaoke.
bouldering or something that's so physically taxing that it would leave a lot of people out.
Or we just get together and eat. Like, who doesn't love food?
Yeah.
So.
That's one of the options on the table this time is, hey, we haven't just gotten together and eaten for a while. Let's do that.
Just hang out. Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I think so. When we look at our agenda, or we wanted to learn about what Waikiki does, right? And I think so. When you want to learn about a club, the four key metrics are: how do they bring in new members, or how do they work on their PR? How do they retain their members? How do they manage their product, or quality of the product, or like how good are the like how do they manage the meeting quality, and lastly, like how do they operate as leaders? I think so we have covered all four of these aspects. So beyond that, does anything else come to your mind? Would you like to share? Is there anything that we missed in this restricted domain? Anything else that you would like to share with our listeners? Any other advice, that what do you do, or like any advice that you have for them, as club leaders or members of the club? What can they do to help their club grow, that we haven't covered so far in the episode? So anything else that we did not talk about and that you would like to share with the listeners?
I think the thing we've said it before, so it's not anything new, but
Mhm.
we're supporting the growth of the members. I mean, that's just central. So if we all go back to that, the other things, they still require work, but they also, by and large, take care of themselves. The only thing I would mention around that is Toastmasters tends to be success oriented, right? We have speeches about achieving success. We're all success minded people. We're in a, not a vocation, but a task that we want to be successful at. But I've noticed for our club, we also have serious speeches. We had a number of serious speeches. We had a speech yesterday about somebody's father's funeral. We had a speech
Yeah.
about the meaning of life. So it's success at all sorts of levels, and it's providing that support at all levels. Success is 360 rather than I don't know, a feel good kind of thing. We really are invested in the support and growth of our members in any sort of way. Norpong, anything to add there? Or?
Yeah, I think we just keep talking about it. The Toastmasters is about people. If you want to have members, be focused on those members. If what brings people here is they need to grow or learn something, and if we just focus on the basics of allowing that to happen and hopefully teaching them, there's a lot of tenured people in our district that have a lot of value that I don't think they realize that they can give to people that are brand new to Toastmasters, and we got to have that willingness to help people who are not at that level, and so for the willingness to share, the willingness to help people grow, if we just focus on growing people, the people will come. That's what it is. If people can learn and grow and have fun at the same time, the meetings are gonna be fun. We're fortunate to have many guests and many members, join our meetings live all the time in person. And so by having that you create that community, and that's what it's about. We got to make sure that something that's positive. When you walk into a meeting and you leave, we want people to smile, to probably grow and learn something new. And if we can make them 1% better, right, that night, I think we've done our jobs as Toastmasters.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. So we have talked about you know all the insights about how do we operate. Now, if you are comfortable, of course, I mean, you can decline this question, but if you are comfortable, would you like to share about any challenge that your club had faced in the past, and how were you as leaders able to overcome it? The reason why I'm asking this is because, of course, majority of the clubs right now, like, they are facing some or the other critical challenge. I want to give them a framework as well, that when you are facing a challenge, how do you exactly navigate through that? So we talked about the basics of club success, basically, that what goes on behind building a successful club. But I also want to discuss this critical factor of, when your club is facing a particular challenge, how do you um, go about it? And of course, like, I totally understand that a lot of things are best kept private when it comes to, like, the challenges faced by the clubs. So it's totally up to you, if you want to share and how much you want to share. I mean, what I'm really looking for is that framework, that how do you, like, when you face a challenge, how do you go about it, solving as leaders? So yeah.
I think there are probably two things that come to mind, and they're almost contradictory. One is when we were like everybody else in the pandemic, and we were, virtual on Zoom.
Hmm.
Slava mentioned, Norapong mentioned Slava early on.
Hmm.
Slava really gave us great advice to go live and to not go hybrid.
Hmm.
So to do that decisively, and we did it right. We took a vote of the members. We put the case on each side, and I know I was sorry to lose some members, because we had members throughout the Pacific Rim, and some of them just couldn't come anymore, which was unfortunate. We lost some good members, but that kind of decision needed decisiveness. So we took all the steps, but then we said, "This is what we're going to do." Boom, we're there 100%, and we got some stories about that. They're kind of funny sometimes, but it was this decisiveness. The other part is actually the polar opposite of that. When I was when I was president, a lot of the things require patience. We will say something like, "We really want to do this." Like, we were talking about a specific thing we want to add yesterday, because someone hadn't had an idea. So, okay, we kicked it around a little. So we're going to kick it around a little until we get something we want to try. But then when you got to try it, you got to say, okay, we're going to try this thing for 3 months, right?
Mm.
Is it may not work the first time, right? Or the first time there may be some kinks to work out, and we'll be open about changing it. But you got to give it like a 3 month consistent try to make it a habit, and then to say either, yeah, this is something we do, and now it's part of the club, and we all like it, or say, well, that didn't work. How else can we achieve this? So those two things, even though they're kind of contradictory.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I would have to say that first decision is how I found Waikiki because I wanted to go somewhere in person, and I saw Waikiki was exclusively in person, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people. And you're starting to see that throughout the district. A lot of people are going in person or probably hybrid, and you're starting to see new clubs like Honolulu come up that's strictly in person. I think it's all about connecting with people, being in person. I think that's really what's going to grow the sustainable growth for the clubs. I mentioned it earlier. Some of the struggles we have is that revolving door we have because we have so many people in and out. But there is a revolving door, especially when it comes to like our leadership. I think we probably need it. We're learning now to how to develop those next leaders and encourage people. Which we're fortunate people wanted to step up. We've asked people personally to say, "Hey, did you want to take on this role?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so I love the fact that people are willing to do that. But I think that's something that we probably need to grow is developing the next leaders to take on those next roles and things like that. Because it is a revolving door, and you never know what happens in our personal lives where you may be here for 6 or 7 months, and then next thing you know, you're not here no more, and we got to replace your role and things like that. And we
Life
travel,
happens.
we have family, like yeah, life happens, and so for us, we got to continue the development. I think we got to do a better job continuing the development of the individuals to take on those roles. I think you mentioned earlier too, like how do we get them to take on roles and possibly maybe get involved in the district and those type of things. And so that to me is something that we're learning right now. We're learning how to do. Fortunately, me and Andy do a brunt of the work, but I think, but that's probably too much work for us. Where we got to spread the work amongst everyone else, and so that's definitely a challenge because we lost a lot of great leaders recently, and we're trying to find to replace those people. And then to me is that hopefully we both can move on at one point and someone else take over for the club, and that's the goal. But that's a struggle. It's hard to do. So
No, makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. I think so. Just adding to that, this is what my thoughts are. I think so. The problem is, and I just have to clarify this because this is the district podcast, so of course, so I think the problem is not, I would say, in person, hybrid, or online. I think so. The problem is that a lot of clubs don't ask themselves what their target market is, right? Or
mm,
what is their particular audience, like if you go about it. I think this question have we didn't have to ask this question in the pre-COVID era when we were operating in person, because all the clubs are in person, so it's well defined, right? It's about geography, it's about timing, it's about what day you are on, it's about the club quality, all of those things. And but at the end of the day, what matters the most is the vicinity, right? I mean, if something is like, let's say, nearby to your place, and let's say if that club is like, let's say, 80% as good as compared to some other club which is like, let's say, 10 kilometers far away or something to that effect, where it will take a lot of time, you'll of course join the one which is nearby. If the time suits you well, those are the things that matter. But when online clubs started coming in, like, and where we have this sort of mismatch sort of a situation where we have a whole bag of clubs where some are in person, some hybrid, some online, some corporate. And I think so. What the most important thing to understand is that for majority of people, in-person clubs would work well, especially beginners. Like if a person is just coming to Toastmasters, I think so. The biggest value that you get out of this is that you have to get rid of that stage fear. I think so. That is like the reason why majority of beginners pay us the money, not us, the organization. But yeah, so
the members.
the major reason is that. But let's say once you are 2 years into a club, an in-person club, I think so you'll hit that S curve where you have seen everything, you have done those contests, you have done all the in-person things, and now you start asking yourself this question, that what's next for me. Now you have two options: either just let go of Toastmaster or make Toastmasters a just a social thing where you go and catch up with your friends and just totally give up on leadership and public speaking learning, which frankly happens to a lot of people. I've seen a lot of senior members go through this route where they are just involved because they want to just support the club or maybe but you can clearly see that these people have given up on their personal growth in terms of public speaking and leadership, and it's common around across the world. So I think beyond that point is where online clubs start coming into the picture. I do not think it makes a lot of sense to have a generic online club. That's the first thing that I learned when I took over presidency of Inspire X Toastmasters this term. That's the first question I asked myself, that okay, who are the people that we can reach out to? And the clear question to me was that it does not make much sense for a beginner to join us. It makes a lot more sense for somebody who has been in Toastmasters for 2 years to join here and let's say try out this format of 20 minutes public speaking, because that's what you actually do. Like if you are going to, let's say for me, I have to do public speaking for college students. Like I'm not getting paid or for it or anything, but I am an entrepreneur. I just love colleges love inviting me, and I love going there, and that's my audience. I vibe a lot with college folks, and I can do a lot of funny stuff with them, which I cannot do with let's say a corporate crowd or that sort of stuff. So I enjoy a lot with college folks. So that's the sort of sessions which I usually do. It could be proper technical talks, it could be just talks on career. I recently did one on like how to protect yourself from AI, basically. How AI is going to change the landscape of career and what do you need to prepare for it and all of those things. So my talks, I mean, it would be a miracle if they were like in 5 or 7 minutes. Majority of them are like within 20 minutes. So my goal is that let's keep the talk for 20 and like the other 20 or 40 for Q&A, or let's say resume review or that sort of sessions. So in professional world, I have never done like 5 to 7 minutes a talk for the most part. It was always like 20 minutes thing with maybe a PPT or maybe even if storytelling a longer format. So that is why I took Inspirex towards that direction, that now that people like me are more comfortable with 5 to 7, I can do a 5 to 7 random table topics. We do that at Inspirex, 5 to 7 minutes table topics. So now that we are comfortable with that 5 to 7 minutes format, we try to push for 20 minutes, or we try to perfect that format. So I think so. This is how it's going to divide. The first club you should join is of course in person, but if you want to specialize further, if you want to looking for that next step, then those online clubs come in. And if you look at it, there are a lot of good clubs. And I'm not sure. I'm still new to 49, so I'm still trying to learn the landscape. But as far as global picture is concerned, I'm well aware about clubs that have 40 plus members and that are operating in an online environment. Some of them being, like for example, let's take the example of Snellry Chapter 1 Advanced. One of the oldest clubs, like if you look at the heritage of it all, and it has 40 plus members. So, and I'm well aware of hybrid clubs as well that are doing well. I think so. It circles back to the same advice that you gave, that it's about that experience. So if you are going online and if you are not really working on it, if you think that the same things are going to work, no, you need a whole new playbook for online. You need a whole new playbook for hybrid, and you need a whole new playbook which have existed for corporate. But you need different playbooks for these scenario. So I think so. I just wanted to clarify that as well and put that out, that because I don't want to personally convey uh, that
Yeah.
in person is the only format that works. Sure, I mean, I think so. For me personally, this is my opinion in that sense, or like mostly the message that I want to give out from the district as well. That online clubs do have hope. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
I don't want to convey that
But
um,
you put a good point there. It is if you're advanced, if you're experienced, online is where you could do something a little different, right? That's a definitely good point there that you put out there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, there are at least two good things about online clubs. So we didn't need to, yeah, didn't mean to diss on online clubs at all. Online clubs, as you say, if you have a specialization in an informational area, you want to hear about other people that have that same informational area, and that's hard to get in one geographic location, and
exactly.
people that are all willing to do one day. So that's really useful. The other thing they're useful for is drop in. Like I've dropped into a couple of clubs. You say, oh, there's a meeting tonight. Hey, I kind of feel like going to a meeting tonight, but not going to a meeting
Yeah.
tonight.
Hmm.
So you see that happen quite a bit too. So yeah, there's definitely a place for them. There's something, I think, limiting about online clubs that try to be general clubs, though. You
True.
know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
there's something really useful about having that beginning Toastmasters in person and having that atmosphere. We've had people mention this as well that they've started an online club, and that was good to get them started, but they didn't feel like, they kind of felt like they were in the they were not in the pro leagues, and then so they went to an in-person club, and now their skill set has to be so much better. Even things like, you can have the notes to your speech like right here, you know.
By the camera.
Yeah, yeah, that I mean that's why I absolutely believe that online clubs are not for beginners, honestly. Like you would have a better chance of doing it in that way, like join an in-person club, and once you have exhausted your learning curve there, because I think so that's how the two relate, because that's what happened for me personally. I currently reside in Indore in India. It's like a tier 2 city here, right? So we do have like two really good clubs here, but point is, I mean, my curve was exhausted here. That yeah, there was a certain limit to which I could, take up mentorship and all of those things, and beyond that, I was looking for something more, which is the reason why I ended up joining an
Yeah,
online club here. And what I mean, that's the reason why I do what I do in Toastmasters at this point. Um, you know, because when you participate in contests as well, you would realize that beyond a point you would just exhaust. That beyond this you need new ideas, you need new mentors, you need that fresh perspective if you want to have edge even in your own district. You need help from external district even if you want to succeed in your own district. So you learn that after 2 years, once you are out of that zone where like for example, I do not have any anxiety. Like I can grow up even sleep deprived to an in-person audience and totally enjoy with them. Like I'll just be in the moment, I'll enjoy with them. I wouldn't be sweating, or I wouldn't be yeah, scared about anything. I'll just, yeah, I'll be having my time of my life with them. I really enjoy it. So the point is, if one, I mean, and that's the average time what I'm talking about, that once you are 2 years into Toastmasters, maybe you reach that stage, maybe you need more time, maybe you achieve that in a lesser time, or maybe let's say if your case is that you're already very talented, or let's say you have taken some public speaking before, maybe, yeah, you could be on that level at day one itself in Toastmasters. So I think so that once you realize that you are you know done with your in-person thing, it makes sense to have like a second club. I'm not saying that you should, like, yeah, give up on it, well, because socializing is a very important part of Toastmasters too. That I think that personally, the reason why I joined Toastmasters for the second time, first was in the college, and then like I left Toastmasters for a while because of I had to focus on my career right after my college finished. And then COVID and everything happened, and then lockdown opened up, and then yeah, I was sort of bored hanging out with the same six people, same six friends in my city. So I wanted to expand my social network. I'm used to that thing, that where I have a big network. I love interacting with new people, I love hearing their stories, and I just love that sort of life. And that's what that's what I was missing. So I ended up joining Toastmasters second time for that, so that I could expand my social circle, meet them, and at the same time work on something that I enjoy, public speaking. So it would get my mind off work and maybe like a hobby after that. So that was my perspective. So I think the future of Toastmasters that I see, especially, I think so there is a turbulence for a while, but in near future, this is what I envision, that people would be in multiple clubs where they get value, but at minimum, like they are in one in-person club, maybe beyond that, one in-person, one online, and beyond that, you would still see people who are really way more serious or are power Toastmaster users. They would see multiple in-person clubs. I think so there would be specialization in in-person as well, where you would be, let's say, part of a general club in your city, and like let's say a special advanced club in-person club in your city, and then you are also part of like multiple online clubs, and then there are permutation combinations of these possible. There's the international perspective as well. Like for example, I learned this last year only when I participated in international speech contest of District 49, that just because as an Indian I know English does not mean that you are going to understand what I'm speaking in English. Right? There's a, and again, that the same thing is there in terms of practicing public speaking online as well. In person, there's not that Zoom buffer that we experience here. So you have to get accustomed to those things, that you are going to need a mic. That mic is going to have a buffer. You have to fix the lighting.
yeah,
You have to make sure your background and your clothes contrast is there, lighting is all right, and these skills are very important in this era well as well. So I think so. There's a whole range of skill set when you look at it. When it comes to like online, in person, there's diversity. There is online versus in person communication. All of those things. So that is why I feel that right now there's a lot of turbulence. There are a lot of um, opinions about what people think, but eventually the future which I see is it's that of like of course our in-person clubs are going to be the central hubs or the core pillars of our community, and you'll be mostly having advanced clubs in advanced in-person clubs or like online clubs in general. I do not believe in generic online clubs. They do not exist. I believe any online club is by default advanced club, and if they are not playing by those rules they will like most certainly be facing challenges. So that is the future that I see. General in-person clubs for everyone, and then just advanced for maybe the people who want to take the next step or are power users to that effect. So that's the yeah, that's my opinion about it.
No, I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, each club, whatever format you are, has to have a sense of community with the members. To me, the fun things are before the meeting and after meeting, the socialization that we have.
True.
And if online can support it, to me, you have to have communication between all your members. You got to be able to build that relation and build that rapport. And so, as long as there's a sense of community within your club will always exist, and hopefully, it just attracts more members.
Most
Mm.
definitely. And I think so. The second point which I want to talk about is what you mentioned. That is like, yeah, breeding leadership. It's naturally difficult for everybody. Um, yeah. So it's just I think so. Once people see the value in it, like I think so, we need to do a better job at publicizing what Toastmasters has to offer beyond public speaking and networking. I think so because those are the most immediate value which people see. But I think so once they are into it, maybe then we can do a better job at publicizing it, because I think so that's where we lack. For example, for me it was very communicated very well that how much can I learn in terms of PR. So it was something that interested me from the very start of my Toastmasters journey, because there are so many skills that you can learn there. You can learn Canva, you can learn video stuff, you can learn social media, Mailchimp, working on websites and all of those things. And it's I think Toastmasters is an incredible place to learn all of those skills as well. Club growth is a whole different idea of it. So yeah, you learn so much as SPR. You learn so much in terms of, let's say, when you work with membership, you learn about sales. Like if I just like put it out there, you also learn about project management. And in general, like when you do vice president education, you learn about leadership and leading team when you are doing presidency. So I think so. Like once those values are communicated, once people start seeing that, plus also I think so. There's that factor of attachment that once you have benefited a lot from Toastmasters, you would of course respond to the call when people ask you to be leaders. So
Yeah.
yeah, but of course we
You
are
can-
all of us are facing that issue where we need more leaders, and yeah, that's definitely a challenge that needs to be solved in general. So yeah, so here's my final question. We talked about the challenges which you have faced as a club. My final question to you both is: are there any challenges that you both have faced as individual club leaders? Like when you have taken up leadership roles, what challenges do you face? Like for example, for me this time it was, um, waking up and having a ton of email to go through, and I'm not used to that sort of thing. Yeah. So there's just
Oh
so much
man, I'm
that
with you because everyone emails me for the agenda,
yeah.
and whether it's to get a speaking spot or whether they can be here or not, they're out of town or whatever is going on. And so answering them on time, because like I got a day job like from like 7 a.m. to like 4 p.m.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday, teaching some type of class to somebody, whether it's here in Hawaii or online or whatever. I'm doing something, and so responding back to those emails, like I have a challenge to do that too. So I'm with you. But I've kind of created a system to allow me to kind of be able to respond there, and that's why I think planning ahead helps out especially when I plan my meetings and at least a month or two in advance or so. I put it out there, so all I have to do is fill in the spot. So people are like, "Oh, hey, I'm out of town next week. I can't make it." Cool. I'll just find someone to back up, and I try to fill it in. And so I've kind of created a routine. But like, I'm with you. The emails that I get, whether it's the inquiries or people calling out or they can't do certain things, and life happens and things like that. So it's to me, like, I try to keep up on the communication, and so I'm definitely delayed when it comes to my responses on email.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I appreciate with ICO and the current leadership is they understand that we're all unpaid volunteers.
Yeah.
So they don't ask for too much time, and they seem to be very sensitive to that fact. I like Norapong trying to plan out these newsletters, but they tend to be like in spurts. I have 5 minutes here, so I'll add something. 5 minutes there, I'll add something, and then but altogether it ends up being like too long. I should have a better system. The other challenge I think that I may be speaking out of school, but this is just something that is not. You don't really have a sense of the highest level of Toastmasters, how much flexibility they have. I think we hear as people at the leadership level that we hear about the new rules, right? They're trying to tamp down on things. So what can be considered what can be considered a club, the whole thing about in-person contests versus all these things. But it would be nice to know, as I think the things you spoke to earlier are really about flexibility, right? And they take somebody to say, oh, there's flexibility, okay, well, this is what I want to do, right? And maybe the challenge is not knowing or not getting a sense of where the flexibility is, but just getting a sense that there are certain rules. I'll give you just one sort of example. There is we talked about improv before, and we talked about possibly doing an improv Toastmasters, and people were just like, well, I don't want to pay another Toastmasters fee.
Yeah.
I'm paying this much. You're asking me to double the fee. And is there flexibility for us to do differently, or ultimately it went nowhere because we didn't know that whether the flexibility was there, right? Um, I think if people knew where the flexibility was, and without knowing that, you don't really have a sense of um,
Mhm.
where the value could be added. Like the things you were saying, you're kind of like, okay, well, value could be added there. Be added not just for you personally, but for the organization as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? People could learn more about public relations, more about web developing, more about the other things you mentioned. Would that be beneficial? Is that something that they could take not only for your learning, but to help other people, internationals, Toastmaster International? We don't really have a sense of that. And without that, you kind of, some things I think you kind of say, you know, again, free labor, what am I willing to put my free labor into? And if you're not sure of how much value you're doing, I'm going to default to the value for the club members that I see every 2 weeks, and not this amorphous, international organization that I'm part of.
Makes a lot of sense. I think so. This is again a long-term problem that needs to be solved. Even I ended up discovering all of this hierarchy a lot later. It was a lot of I would say looking at the Toastmasters website, going back and forth. Like that's how I discovered what district was, what the hierarchy is, and all of those things. But I most definitely agree. I mean, this is something that should be explained on day one. Funny thing is that you do have a little bit about this in your club manual. It's there in the like first few pages, but I totally get it that it's not emphasized as much. But so okay, this is a long term problem, but like for any listeners that are listening to this, I'll just like sum it up real quick. At the highest level, you have your board of directors, where you have past international president, like immediately past international president, then international president elect, first vice president, second vice president. These five are like your, yeah, top
Yeah, yeah,
leadership.
yeah.
And after that, you have like 14 regions, so you have one international director for each of them. And then for each region, you have multiple region advisors. And then those region advisors have under them help out like various districts, like you can say 4 to 5 districts in that effect. So the way it works is like international, like region, international, all of these things, world headquarters, they are responsible for managing the organization as a whole when it comes to this. And the way they get elected is you basically assign your votes to your, either you can go and vote for yourself for them when in the convention, or what we usually do is like we assign the votes for them to our trio that are going to represent us in the convention. right? So that's how you select the top leadership that is going to decide the policy in general. So if you're unhappy about anything, that's how you like, that's the official way to go about it, that you communicate it to your district. And like if yeah, there's enough support in your district about a particular concern, it gets passed on to the higher levels. So that's how it works. Then the district is basically, then the next layer is of the district. The district's work is basically isolated by chartering new clubs, if I put it in that way. So the district is responsible for both like sustaining existing clubs and chartering new clubs. But primarily, this is why districts exist, like to charter new club. That is, this is their job. Basically, a club is not going to charter a new club. International is not going to focus on like chartering new clubs themselves. District is the body that is responsible for that. So district is split into like three tiers: district, division, area, like you are well aware. And then the district also has a top six committee of program quality, which is like considered the VP of district in a way. Club growth director, which is sort of vice president membership of the whole district. PRM, which is the VPPR of whole district. You have finance manager, admin manager, so club secretary, club treasurer of the whole
Yeah.
district in a way. And then finally, additionally, we do have logistics managers, sort of sergeant at arms for the like whole district. So this is how it usually works. You can also have additional committees. Like I was Alicia's division public relations specialist last jump when she was division A director. So of course, like this was a created role. So you can create all your own roles in your divisions and areas and whatnot, and even that. But that's how the
Yeah.
machinery functions in a way. Um, you know.
What what
So
what I find that there's a real hunger for is basically what we're doing here. Is people kind of saying at the club level, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
you know, because people want to know at that level. You know, oh, if you're doing that, wow, that's interesting. You know, I might be able to not be able to do that specific thing, but that inspires me to do this thing that actually would work at our club. And I think
exactly.
there's a lot of hunger for that. Pretty much every time you go to a training, I think, or anytime
Yeah.
you go to
It's good
something
to
that
connect
brings
with
mass
everyone.
everything together,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Most
That's what I love about
definitely.
the trains, connecting with other people. Gets a chance. And that's why, and even any of the events like our meetings, obviously we have our annual meeting that's coming up. The speech contest was great to just see people, in person. That was amazing. There was a lot of people in the speech contest, so it's like I said, the community is that's what it's about, and talking to people, and so meeting people and seeing what other people are doing, connecting with people.
Most definitely. Yeah. So I think so. We have covered up pretty much everything. So if I had to like sum it up, I would say the key takeaway value for me, or like the one that I would like to summarize for all our members out there who are listening to this, especially the leaders who are listening to this, would be this, that focus on your meeting experience. If you have, I think so, we can do a lot in terms of like PR and all of those things. We can discuss a lot about the micro details or the minute details that we have discussed for in this episode. But I think so, for me, the key takeaway value or the point to remember is that it all burns down to creating the best possible experience for your guests and your members. So I think so, if you are a club leader who wants to spearhead your club and be as successful as, let's say, a club like Waikiki. um Here's the summed up advice, like for me at least, that we need to focus on exceptional meeting experience. And for that, of course, we have discussed a lot of ideas on what goes behind that. And if your club wants, of course, like the key to achieving great meeting experience is connecting with Toastmasters who are experienced. Like, let's say if you are a new club or if you are a struggling club, and if you need those sort of resources, you can always reach out to me or anyone in the district, and I can assure you that we will be there for you. We have a lot of great Toastmasters in District 49, and will ensure that we provide you with the right resources and help your club in whatever we can. Beyond that, if you have any questions, I'll ask Norapong and Andrew to maybe share their contact details or the contact details of how like Waikiki. So if you want to get in touch with them, you can get in touch with them. I'll be also sharing my personal details if you want to like get in touch or discuss anything, or share any other crazy PR ideas that you want me to take up. I still have a few months in this term left, and we have
Yeah,
already covered a
utilize
lot of.
Tanishq's talent, and he puts out some good products out there. I'll tell you that.
I just hope the benefits reach out to the end users. We do have a lot of stuff planned for this term as well in terms of like PR. We have trainings coming up. We have more podcast episodes coming up. We'll be probably having a reels contest as well for individuals and for clubs. And yeah, plus I'm personally trying to reach out to multiple club presidents and vice president of public relations to understand what problems they are facing and what can we do to help them, be it PR or otherwise. So, anyways, if you have any crazy PR ideas that you want me to take up, please feel free to reach out. If you want to join my team and if you're particularly interested in learning about PR, you can always join my team and find a place for yourself as to what you want to learn. And of course, we have great resources here too. So, anyways, yeah, I think the next step would be that I think so. Would you like to share about the Waikiki, like at what day it meets, what time it meets, and the of course the venue and also the contact detail. Let's say if a listener to this episode wants to visit your club, what's the call to action for them? So yeah.
Sure. We meet the first and third Thursday of each month. Probably the easiest thing for me to do is forward the info at Waikiki Toastmasters, and you can include that, in the description. That's the easiest way because both Norapong and I are on that. Or if for some reason we leave our
Yeah.
roles, then the people that replace us will be on that.
Yeah. The website, waikikitoastmasters.org, anyone can check it
Oh,
out. The address is there. It's in Kaimuki, first and third Thursday, like he mentioned. 6:50 p.m. is like when we try to start. You can just show up, all of you. Anyone who's a Toastmaster, the doors are open. We
yep.
love to have people over. We like to have fun, and so you want to show up, have some fun, and come check out a meeting. Hopefully you learn something.
Most definitely. And I know personally I'm looking forward to I'll try to schedule my flights in a way so that I can attend your meeting like when
Are you
I
coming? Are you coming to
yes. I mean
town?
I'm my visa is still in process. I've applied for it, so I'm still awaiting on, the green tick on that. But yes, I've applied and
I'll
I'm
make a
most
few phone
definitely
calls to Tanishq for you. I'll try to get you.
It's one of those guys, a Toastmaster, they can maybe they can talk to.
Yeah,
oh, I
but
love
yeah,
that.
if you can come, man, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you in
Yes,
person with us.
definitely.
And then I'll reach out to you like I think so visa should be sorted for the most part, but I'll need your advice on where to stay and whatnot as well, so I'll reach out to you, let me know how to plan my trip. I'm mostly planning that way that I'll maybe come up on Thursday, so yeah I can come and visit the Waikiki. It's definitely on my to do. And then of course there would be our business meeting prior to I think on Friday prior to our conference on Saturday. So we'll have our conference on Saturday. So we'll be there. And of course, I want to spend the Sunday in Hawaii as well to, just do some non-Toastmaster stuff and just explore. Yeah, right. As
I'm
well.
with you, man. Yeah, we'll hang out. We'll show you the island. We'll take
Yeah,
you hiking if you want. I'm hiking all the time, so
most
whatever you want to do.
definitely. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that's the plan. And after that, I'm planning on having a 2 weeks trip to SF. It's mostly a business trip, but that's what my plan is. I'll come up there. I'll start with Hawaii and then I'll go to SF. So yeah, most definitely looking to attend Waikiki and meeting you both in person as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I hope everything goes out well. In terms of visa and everything. Yeah, fingers crossed. But most definitely looking forward to it. So lastly, yeah, so that was Waikiki Toastmasters. I'll include all the details in the. You'll probably be seeing this video on YouTube, so you will find all the details in the description. All the emails that you can check out to and whatnot. So we talked about Waikiki. If you have anything that in terms of PR related or district related, please feel free to reach out to me. If you are interested in exploring other clubs in district, you can reach out to us at Toastmasters in Hawaii at the rate of gmail.com. Someone in the team will probably check that email and reach out to you. We have a whole team using that email. So if you want to explore, learn more about other clubs, let's say if you are someone like me who is watching it maybe from somewhere in India or from somewhere in the world and you want to join one of our online clubs here in Hawaii, please use that email. We'll try to learn more about what your specific needs are and suggest a club to you. So please use that email and we'll get in touch with you. Um, I think that covers up everything else. That covers up everything that I wanted to communicate. So I think with that we can conclude the first episode of District 49 podcast. It was great having you both. Thank you so much for giving or volunteering your time to do this episode. I'm really grateful to you both, and I'm sure once members see this video, they'll learn so much more about Toastmasters, and it will help some of our clubs that are looking for that inspiration and guidance of how they can excel further. And we try our best to do all of these things in the training, but I think at times we need such conversations where we have that one-on-one friendly talk where we really talk about, okay, yeah, sure, I mean, learning about how to do pathways is fine, but yeah, tell me about what my clubs really need to
Do
do
pathways.
to
Trust me. You know,
yeah.
I know Rosie's gonna love this. Do your pathways, folks. It'll get your club better. And no, actually, thank you, Tanishq. It was great just to get to know you. It was kind of cool. We learned a lot about you, and so hopefully we're able to share some good stuff for you, man.
Oh, most
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. We look forward to seeing you in May.
Yep, most definitely. I'm very excited about that. So now I'll just stop the recording first.